In 1932, Europe was in the grip of the Great Depression. Jobs vanished, families broke. And in the city of Hamburg, a young man named Oskar Speck found himself adrift, unemployed, uncertain. Yet holding on to a peculiar idea. He would take his folding kayak, his only true companion, and paddle into the unknown. Oskar Speck was born in 1907 in Hamburg. By his mid-20s, he worked as an electrical contractor. But the economic collapse after World War I crushed his industry, and his business, like many others, fell apart. Rumors drifted through Germany about jobs in the copper mines of Cyprus. And so Speck made a decision that would shape the rest of his life. He would leave Germany, not by train, not by ship, but in a small folding kayak he called Sonnenschein. Sunshine. He wasn't even a swimmer, but that didn't stop him. On June 18, 1932, he set out from Ulm, gliding into the current of the Danube River with a few tins of food, a jug of water, a camera, some clothes, and hope. At first, the river carried him gently. He paddled past Vienna, Budapest, through Yugoslavia, and Bulgaria. But soon the Danube became too calmed, too predictable, boring, he would later call it. So Speck left its safe waters and aimed himself toward the wild Vardar River in Macedonia, attempting to be the first person to kayak through its fierce rapids. Winter came early. The river froze. Stranded for months, he survived by taking odd jobs and repairing his gear. When spring finally returned, he slipped his kayak back into the thawed river and pressed onward toward the Aegean Sea. But the Aegean was no river. His little folding kayak groaned under the weight of ocean swells, its frame bending with every wave. Speck knew one capsize would end everything. To survive, he adapted, adding makeshift sails, splash guards, and new techniques to keep his fragile craft afloat. Hugging the coastline, he island hopped through Greece and Turkey until he reached Cyprus, the place he had originally planned to find work. But by then, something inside him had changed. The journey itself had become the destination. Instead of staying in Cyprus, Speck folded up his boat, boarded a bus to Syria, and relaunched it on the Euphrates River. He paddled through Raqqa, Baghdad, and south toward Basra. The desert sun was brutal. Water was scarce. Some days, he saw no one, just endless heat and silence. During a violent storm, he was hurled onto a barren island. The only other presence on the shore was a corpse washed in by the waves. His kayak disappeared, pulled away, and stolen by the sea. But somehow, he survived. He rebuilt. He recovered. He kept going. In Iran, Speck paused to wait for a replacement kayak from the German manufacturer that supported his journey. While he waited, malaria struck, a sickness that would haunt him for years. But by September 1934, he was back on the water, heading toward the Persian Gulf and onto British India. Along the way, he traded stories for meals, film photos for shelter. This strange German kayaker became a small legend in remote ports. He reached Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, in May 1935, just as the southwest monsoon season began. For 3 months, he waited out the storms in Colombo, where he befriended a young British journalist named Christina Rasmussen. She encouraged him to write, to document his journey. When the seas calmed, Speck pushed south along India's coastline. He braved furious storms, paddling for 30, even 40 hours at a time just to stay ahead of the surf. By early 1936, he reached Calcutta. Leaving India behind, he traveled into Burma, Thailand, the Malay Peninsula, and eventually Singapore. In Jakarta, he replaced his kayak once more and continued through the East Indies. But paradise held danger. In one terrifying incident, about 20 men attacked him. They bound him with buffalo hide, beat him, and looted his belongings. In a desperate burst of strength, Speck broke free, fought his way back to the water, and paddled into the night, and still, he continued. As war clouds gathered over Europe, Speck rounded New Guinea, facing sharks, crocodiles, treacherous reefs, and raging surf. Then, in September 1939, after 7 years and more than 50,000 kilometers, he landed on Sabai Island in the Torres Strait. But instead of celebration, there were Australian police officers waiting. They greeted him warmly. "Well done, feller. You've made it, Germany to Australia in that." Then came the blow. "You are an enemy alien. We are going to intern you." World War II had begun just weeks earlier. Speck was sent first to Thursday Island, then to internment camps in Victoria, and South Australia. He tried escaping once and failed. He would spend the war behind barbed wire. When the war ended in 1946, Speck was finally freed. He did not return to Germany. Instead, he moved to Lightning Ridge, learned to cut opals, and built a successful business. He settled quietly on Australia's central coast with his partner, Nancy Steele. Despite paddling 50,000 kilometers, a feat unmatched in his era, Speck never chased fame. He lived simply. Years later, when asked whether he regretted all he endured, Speck answered only, "I am satisfied. I know what I've done." His journals, letters, and photographs now rest in the Australian National Maritime Museum, silent witnesses to an extraordinary life lived stroke by stroke. His folding kayak sits preserved, a testament to one man's audacity. Oskar Speck's journey reads like a legend, but it wasn't born in myth. It was carved in salt, sweat, and relentless will. If you enjoyed this story of quiet courage, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more forgotten histories.